There's a point between your eyebrows. Right now, as you watch this video, it is there, quiet, still, and almost certainly ignored. But what if I told you that this tiny point is the most important spot in the entire human body? What if the ancient masters of India were right when they said that through this single point, a human being can see beyond time, beyond death, beyond the entire visible universe? Paramahansa Yogananda, one of the greatest spiritual teachers who ever lived, called it the spiritual eye. The third eye, the door to God. Today, we are going to explore it together. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your own forehead the same way again. Almost every great spiritual tradition in human history has spoken about the third eye. In Hinduism, it is called the Ajna Chakra. In ancient Egypt, it was the eye of Horus. In Christianity, mystics wrote of the single eye that fills the body with light. In Taoism, the upper dantian, the seat of higher wisdom. But it was yoga that went deepest into its nature, and Yogananda who explained it most clearly for the modern world. He taught that the third eye is not a metaphor, not a symbol. It is a real, functional organ of spiritual perception located at the point between the eyebrows that every human being already possesses. We were all born with it. Most of us simply never learned how to use it. Yogananda called it the Kutastha, the seat of the soul's higher perception. Through this eye, he said, a human being can perceive dimensions of reality completely invisible to the physical senses. Not imagination. Direct perception, more vivid and more real than anything you have ever seen with your physical eyes. Because what the spiritual eye sees is the truth beneath all appearances. One of the most remarkable things about Yogananda's teaching on the third eye is how specific it is. He described exactly what advanced meditators see, and the description is consistent across centuries of yogic experience. In deep meditation, as the mind becomes still and the life force gathers at the point between the eyebrows, a vision appears, not imagined, seen, with a clarity that surpasses physical sight. First comes a circle of golden or white light, brilliant, pulsating, alive. This golden ring represents the cosmic energy of the universe, the AUM vibration, the creative power of God. Inside that golden ring is a deep, sapphire-blue sphere, a blue so pure it has no equivalent in the physical world. This blue field represents what Yogananda called Christ consciousness, the divine intelligence present in all of creation. And at the very center, burning with a brilliant silver-white intensity, a five-pointed star. This star is the actual doorway. Beyond it lies cosmic consciousness, the infinite itself. This is not one person's vision. Thousands of deep meditators across cultures and centuries have reported seeing these same three layers. Yogananda himself beheld them countless times and taught that every sincere, persistent meditator can eventually behold them too. Modern science has not confirmed the spiritual eye as Yogananda described it, but it has stumbled onto something interesting in the same neighborhood. Deep inside the brain, roughly behind the point between the eyebrows, sits a tiny gland called the pineal gland. Descartes called it the seat of the soul. It produces melatonin, the hormone governing sleep and light perception. But researchers have also found traces of DMT, dimethyltryptamine, in the pineal gland, a naturally occurring compound linked to profound visionary states and experiences of light and unity. Yogananda did not need science to tell him this. But is it not fascinating that the physical organ sitting closest to the spiritual eye is also the one most associated with vision, light, and the boundary between ordinary and non-ordinary consciousness? Science and spirit, once again, quietly pointing at the same mystery. If the third eye is real, and every human being has one, why do most people go their entire lives without ever experiencing it? Yogananda's answer is simple. The life force, the prana, is constantly flowing outward. From the moment we are born, our attention moves outward through the five senses. We are pulled by what we see, hear, taste, and touch, absorbed in thoughts, emotions, memories, anxieties, entertainment. Our entire life energy is scattered across the surface of experience, like water pouring out through 5 open taps at once. The third eye only activates when that flow is reversed. When, through meditation, we deliberately withdraw the life force from the senses and direct it inward and upward toward the point between the eyebrows. This reversal does not happen by accident. It requires practice, the right technique, and genuine, sincere desire. Yogananda often said, God does not hide from us. We hide from God by keeping our attention always turned outward toward the world and never inward toward the source. So how does one begin? How does one actually start to awaken the spiritual eye? Yogananda taught a 2-part answer. The first part anyone can begin today. During meditation, close your eyes and gently direct your gaze upward toward the point between your eyebrows. Not so hard your eyes strain, just a soft, gentle upward focus. This single act begins to gather the prana at the spiritual eye. Many people feel an immediate warmth or gentle pressure at the forehead when they do this. That is the life force beginning to collect at the Kutastha. Practice holding concentration there when the mind wanders, and it will gently bring it back. Every day, with patience, without force. The second part, the deeper part, is Kriya Yoga. This is the ancient meditation technique Yogananda brought to the world. It works directly with the life force in the spine and the chakras to accelerate the awakening of the spiritual eye far beyond what ordinary meditation alone can achieve. Yogananda described Kriya as spiritual oxygen, a science that can compress what might take many lifetimes into a single dedicated lifetime of practice. Kriya is available today through the Self-Realization Fellowship, the organization Yogananda founded. If the spiritual eye calls to you, this is the most direct path he recommended. There is one more dimension of the third eye that Yogananda taught, rarely spoken of in popular discussions. The third eye is not only a visual doorway, it is also an auditory one. As meditation deepens and concentration at the spiritual eye grows, the meditator begins to hear a sound from within, not with the physical ears, with something deeper. It begins as a distant hum, a vibration, a sound like the ocean heard from far away. And as the concentration deepens further, it resolves into a single, vast, all-pervading tone. This is AUM, the primordial sound of creation itself. Modern physics tells us the universe is not solid matter, it is energy in motion. Everything vibrates. And at the most fundamental level, all that vibration has one source, one note. Yogananda taught that when a meditator merges their consciousness into AUM, when they go so deeply in that they become the sound, they enter union with the creative power of God. The third eye and AUM are 2 gates of the same doorway. Vision and sound, light and vibration, both leading to the same infinite. What actually changes in a person's life as the third eye begins to awaken? Yogananda described it as a gradual dawn, not a sudden explosion, a slow, steady brightening. But the changes are unmistakable. Intuition sharpens dramatically. You begin to know things before you know how you know them. You feel the energy of people and situations before your mind has a chance to analyze them. Decisions become clearer. Life becomes less confusing. Fear contracts. The fear of death, the fear of loss, the fear of not being enough, all rooted in the belief that we are only this body, only this personality. As the third eye opens and the soul glimpses what lies beyond, that fear begins to lose its grip. You do not become reckless. You become calm. Compassion opens naturally. Because once you begin to truly see the light inside yourself, you cannot help but recognize it in others. Beneath every face, behind every pair of eyes, the same light is present. The same soul, the same God. And creativity expands beyond what you thought possible. Because the third eye is also the eye of inner vision, the faculty through which artists, musicians, and inventors have always drawn from something deeper than conscious thought. The third eye is perhaps the greatest mystery of human existence. And at the same time, it is the most intimate thing in your experience. It is not somewhere distant. It is right here, between your eyebrows. In this moment, Yogananda spent his entire life pointing people toward this single point, not because he wanted them to have an interesting experience, but because he had been through that door himself. And he knew what was on the other side. Not darkness, not emptiness, but the fullest, most real experience consciousness is capable of. The direct experience of the divine, love without limit, joy without coys, peace that truly passes all understanding. The third eye is the eye that sees God. And Yogananda's greatest gift to this world was the reminder that every single one of us, without exception, already has it. All we have to do is close our eyes, look upward, and begin.